Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Tracking trips with Pick 6 King John Stetton. It's one of the best tools in horse racing for any level of player. It's your second set of eyes, spotting troubled trips, betting angles, track trends, horses to watch and favorites to fade, 10 figs, ticket structure, and more. At Tracking Trips, you're a friend with benefits. Not a member? You must hate winning money. Join Tracking Trips now. Visit PastTheWire.com and we'll see you in the winner's circle. Remember, nobody does it better.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Unfiltered on Past the Wire TV. My guest today is my good friend, Tommy Hammer Massis. If you don't know who Tommy Hammer Massis is, there's a thing out there called Google. You could search his name, Tommy Massis, Tommy Hammer Massis, and you'll probably find out everything about him that you want to know, and most of us already do know. Hammer, always a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming on. Looks like you're in as nice a place as I am.
Yeah, I don't know about just as nice, but just as warm and sunny, and I wouldn't trade places. I love waking up and coming out here and having a coffee right by the water. It's calm, relaxing.
I agree. There's something to be said for sitting on these nice canals and waterways in Florida that's just peaceful and relaxing.
And the cat likes it too.
Good. Well, my dogs like it too. They're all out here with me. Well, not all, but some of them. We may hear them from time to time. Hammer, I'm glad you came on the show. A lot of things to cover. This show is going to be all about Hammer and your opinions and your thoughts on a variety of different subjects. I don't even think I'm going to weigh in. So it's really Hammer. I'm going to start with one of several elephants in the room. CAW players, whatever you want to call them, syndicates, computer-assisted wagerers, computer robotic wagerers. Considering the amount of handle that they bring to the game, is there anything at all good about them, or are they just something we need to get rid of? And can we survive getting rid of them?
Well, first of all, I give, there's a couple big guys out there, and I tip my hat to them. I wish I thought of it. It's a genius idea. I don't blame them, but I do think what management and racetracks lets them get away with is really felonious, to say the least. And if there is a crime, and I think it is criminal, and I think it's all on the racetrack managers that allow this, not on the guys who are doing it. Hey, they're just gamblers. They're looking for an edge. They got an edge. It's an unfair edge, but they didn't steal the edge. They were given the edge. And yeah, I think if you just took away their advantages, and I hear other people talking that, well, we just want the same fair advantages as them. Well, now you're going to have, double the amount of people taking advantage of the everyday player, the guy that comes to the track every day with $100, $200, the lifeblood of the game, really, and we're losing more and more of those. So you really want to abuse those guys? I say take away their advantages, and I'm a strong proponent of drop takeout, get rid of rebates, let everyone play. The guys who are getting the big rebates are better players mostly, and so they got a big advantage anyway. And the original guys with the rebates, and I know a whole bunch of them, they're the ones that are crying the most now because somebody's upped the game on them, you know, cut into their little gaff.
Right.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this.
To me, get rid of them or just get rid of their advantages. Let them play fair and square.
Okay. Is the $100, $200 better? The guys that used to go to the racetrack every day, are they still the bread and butter and the lifeline of the game?
Yeah, because especially for racetracks, those are the guys that the racetrack are making the full pop, the full whatever the takeouts are for the tracks. They're making the full pop off these guys who are getting no rebates. So, yeah, that's who everyone's preying on. You know, you got guys out there, the guys who are complaining are the guys that would, you know, get good rebates and make a living. And now that's the big groups are really cutting into their living, maybe even eliminating their living, but they're still holding their own, breaking even. It's the small guys, it's the small bettors with no rebates that feed everyone else. It's just, it's horrible. It's horrible. And, you know, it's sad that those small guys I'm talking about, they're uninformed. They're not in the loop. You know, and if they are, they're just, then they deserve what they get. But it's not fair, man. It's not fair because that's that's the money everyone is chopping up.
If you had to put your finger on one thing, primarily, that's made you as successful as you have been betting horses for as long as you have been successful betting horses, what would you say is the one thing that's kind of separated Hammer from the pack and made you as successful as you are for as long as you are without being, quote, a rebate player or a guy who's getting any significant advantages over the everyday player?
For me, it's being a contrarian. So I'd say a good majority of the sharp players that I know, they're all the same type of players. They're working on rebates. They really value EV, you know, and they're looking for value plays and all that. Well, all the sharp players are doing that. And now in the last while, all the computer bettors are doing that. Well, why should I do that? So I always attack things at a different angle. If there's a certain track where speed is always good, I'm looking for closer. I just want to do the opposite. I'll give you another example is like clocker reports. So if I see a horse off a layoff and I already kind of like this horse and he's got like, say, B works, he's working okay, I like that horse. I'm probably going to stick with him. But if a horse is working B plus, A's, and I know everyone and his mother's going to be pounding that horse, even if I like him, I'm going to skip the race or bet against that horse. And that is kind of a value thing or a loss of value thing, but I just done well going the other way. And in this game, you know, if you're going the same way, you know, the math ain't really there. So I just want to do things that nobody else is doing or very few people are doing.
Are you like the guy in that movie, Let It Ride, Richard Dreyfuss, when he walked around and asked everybody who they liked, crossed them out, and the last horse that was left, he bet and went and it won?
Yeah, no, I'm like you. I ain't asking nobody shit.
That is true. I'm going to ask you about some horses today. You know, I never ask you who you like. I never ask anybody who they like. And I don't think it's appropriate to even put people on the spot. But I'm going to ask you about certain horses because it's Derby time. And I'm just going to basically say legit or illegit in Hammer's opinion. And I'm going to start with the chalk and the early favorite. Forte, legit?
Somewhere in the middle, legit. You know, you can't really say he's not legit, but definitely not going to be anywhere on my tickets.
Mage.
Other than those gate issues, severely legit.
Interesting. Angel of Empire.
No idea.
Okay.
You know, that's who's the trainer of that horse?
Brad Cox.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? I'm, you know, they just keep getting better and better, and they seem to perform better on bigger days. So,
how much do you factor in what they refer to as super trainers. And I'm going to group a lot of guys into that. We're going to use it in a broad sense. We're going to say guys like Todd Pletcher, Bob Baffert, Brad Cox, the guys that have super bonds, Chad Brown, a lot of horses, a lot of wins. How much do you factor in betting on them or betting against them?
Yeah, those are the guys, that group of guys are the guys that'll probably cost me the most pick fours, pick fives, because I'm a contrarian and I'm betting against them most of the time because they just get, you know, put it this way, they might have a monster, but that monster should be 4 to 5 and he's 2 to 5. So I think there's more money, you know, if you have the mindset to bet these guys or to bet like, back in the day, Bailey and Mott, Fletcher and Velasquez, sure, they won a lot of races, but if you're not betting against them, I think you're dead. And if you're betting against them, you have to take those times when they beat you because they are going to beat you. But in the long run, I like to play against them.
Why do you think so many people don't grasp that concept that you do, I do? And I like to call it, cash less tickets, but win more money. So many people are not willing to bet against those kind of combinations and those kind of odds. Why do you think that is when they're intelligent people, some of them, and if you really get into the analytics of the game, you can't win that way. Why do so many people grasp?
They want to be right. They want to be right. And it's, I'm sure there's a ton of people out there. They see a Top Fletcher firster. It's like automatic. A Bob Baffert firster. It's automatic. I get it. And more, one of the reasons of my success, I stopped trying to be a fan of the game. So if you're a fan of the game, sure, you're going to be attracted to Irad Ortiz or Luis Saez for Fletcher on $1 Million Baby. It's natural instincts, and it's being a horse racing better instead of a horse racing gambler, or a horse racing fan instead of a gambler. And too many people have that zero end game mentality. They just know they're going to lose. It's just a matter of when are they going to go empty, and they're just going to do what they do and have fun and bet their favorites. And I don't get it. I don't get it. It's pretty obvious to bet against these guys.
Do you enjoy cash betting? And when I say cash betting, I mean going to the track on a regular day and betting through your account, just gambling, or tournaments more? Which do you enjoy more?
Oh, I've never liked tournaments, even though I had success, and I'm really off of them. I don't see myself really playing them ever again. I don't like tournaments at all, because tournaments is, it's basically catering to babies in this game. The mythical wagers caters to the people who can't have no gambling sense at all. And even a contest like the Breeders' Cup contest, you want to see who's the best, but you take away certain players' strength. Like, you can't bet a pick 6. I can't bet a pick 4. If a guy's the best player on the planet might be a guy who plays tries and supers, well, he can't play those. So it's all these Mickey Mouse reasons to do this, and all it is to protect the lesser players. These contests they're trying to do it as, handicap the better players as much as they can, instead of trying to prove who is the best players.
When you make a bet and suffer a tough beat, okay, on a race or a sequence that you were confident, okay, you might have been 2 or 3 into a pick 4 and you liked your shot in the last leg or the last 2 legs, you felt you were positioned strong, and it doesn't work out. A lot of times it does, but on the times that it doesn't work out, do you go back and look to see if you maybe overlooked something or did something wrong or made a mistake, or do you just turn the page and never look back and try and take something from it?
Yeah, no, at this point, I don't really look back. I might see a horse that, if my horse didn't run good, I'm good with it. I move on. But if something beat me that I'm going, how the hell did this horse beat me? I will look back at that horse and try to figure out what did I miss on that horse. But I'm over it. Even if I take, if I have the most brutal trip and win by a nose in a long photo, and then they throw me out, I'll do a 10-second. I might rant for 10 seconds. And if I don't get it out of my head, I either quit. I'll stop for the day. But usually it just go, you know, whatever. I'm confident. I know in the long run it's going to come my way. So next, you know, no big deal. I'm not gonna let that stress me out and ruin the rest of my day, my night, my week. Nothing.
Are you a disciplined player in a way where, let's say you go to the racetrack and the key horse that you liked, that you wanted to build your day around, is scratched, or it was a day that they didn't think it was going to rain and you were not prepared for rain at all, and it poured and everything changed. Can you go to the racetrack and just watch the races and spend the day there and not even make a bet?
Yeah, I usually if I delve into a card, you know, a track I'm playing, I'll usually come up with something to play. But
Right.
I'll give you a scenario. So I love a horse in the 5th race, and there's a ton of speed in the race, and he's an off the pace horse, and I get there and 2 horses are scratched, and they're both front runners. So I look at it now, not only are my odds going to go down, the chances of a meltdown are going to go down either, and I won't change my mind. I'll skip the sequence. But if I'm playing, you know, like I'm starting to play Santa Anita a lot more, so that's like my main focus right now. So if I'm going to bet Santa Anita, I can't possibly see myself not betting during the day. And also, if I'm going to bet, I kind of know, you know, there'll be the days where I won't even bother to make it to post time because I know there's nothing for me. You know, I already kind of know what I'm going to bet. Yeah, if things happen like that, yeah, I don't need to make a bet. I don't need to make a bet.
What made you gravitate to Santa Anita at this point in your career?
Well, what happened was I came down here. My friends were playing the Golden Gate in Santa Anita Golden Hour Pick 4, and they're playing it. So I go, you know what? Let me look at the Golden Gate races. I'm pretty good at synthetic. So I started looking. So I start just, you know, I'd be done at 5 o'clock, and you know, I'd hang around with the tracks. I go, yeah, let me shoot 40, 50 bucks in this thing. And I was getting the Santa Anita races right, just basically looking at the form for 5 minutes, and the Golden Gate races, which I was looking at the night before, and that 0 for. So I'm going, you know, what's going on? Well, I was really following Gulfstream this year, first time and the last time, but I got all this work I'm doing on Gulfstream, replays and everything. So I start playing now. Let me play this coast to coast, Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Same thing. Santa Anita races, 5 minutes of handicap, and I'm picking most of those races, getting knocked out at Gulfstream. But it was around the middle of February or the first week of February. I went back a few weeks, start watching replays, and go, let me just focus on Santa Anita. I don't really like the track, but I'm picking winners there without doing any work. So I started doing the work, and I remember the 2 guys I was sitting with, they went back to Canada now, and it's on a Saturday. I said, I got close. They go, big score. I go, no, it's small, like 4,000, right? But I got real close on a small bet. And that day, the next day, that Sunday, I go, it's only a matter of time. And I smashed them that day for about 70 G's. Like I cashed 32,000 or 34,000 on a $60 investment, and I made some more money on that was on the pick 5, and you know, they're there, and I said I'm alive on this 3 horse for big, the one even big. So anyways, they're going, you called it. You said yesterday you're heating up, and today you said it's only a matter of time. And I missed another score there. I ended up making money. I ended up making about 17 G's, but I ran 2nd and 3rd in a sequence. The horse I ran 2nd was 7-2. A 5-1 shot beat me. That pick 5 paid $2,600 for 50 cents. I had a $25 one. The pick 4, I think, paid $800 for 50 cents. I had like a $70 one if I hit. But after the race, I got knocked out. My key was 13-1, and I smashed a double him onto a horse. And that, so you know, I got a 13-1 shot. I can lose. I didn't bet him flat. So if the next race, the 4-5 shot loses, I lose money on the day with a cold 13-1 shot. It's the way I play. But I've always, said to people, play where you win, not what you like to play. If you're winning at Fawner and you live next door to Saratoga, go to Saratoga, watch the races, but bet on the track you win at.
Right. I I totally get that. And I will add this because it's about you. It's definitely not about me. But when Hammer says it's only a matter of time, it's a good idea to pay attention because I don't know, maybe a year or two, three, I don't know, my time frame is gone. But about 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, Hammer will probably remember. And if you go to that thing I said called Google, you'll probably find it. Hammer told me it's only a matter of time. He was going to make a hit and I should start paying attention to the races in Hong Kong. And I think within a matter of 2 or 3 days, he sent me a ticket on a pick six that paid $1 million. So when Hammer says it's only a matter of time, how long ago was that, Hammer?
That's April 2020.
See, okay, I knew he'd know my time frame.
I start playing it the first night I played it. So they have a consolation if you run second in every race. It's like a place pick six. It's half the pool actually.
Right.
So I got that twice. I ended up cashing like 6,000. And that's when I was telling a couple of mutual friends. They're always asking me for Gulfstream picks. I go, guys, let's play Hong Kong. And that's when I made the comment to you. It's only a matter of time. If I hit that thing the first night I'm playing, and it was just like 3 or 4 nights later, I hit the big one.
That was a classic. That's one of my favorite racetrack stories. And I got a lot of favorite racetrack stories, but that one I love. Let me ask you this. This is a little personal. Do you tip the tellers and people at the racetrack when you make hits like that? Now that one's impossible because you're sitting in Florida and betting in Hong Kong. But other than that,
so the tellers back in the day, no matter where I made the bet or cashed the bet, I went to one girl and always tipped her because one day I walked in there and I didn't even know I had a $500 worth of fake $20 bills. And I didn't know they were fake. I had no idea. And I went up and I said, give me 80 to win on this horse. She goes, what are you, stupid or something? You think I'm stupid? I go, what are you talking about? She goes, they're phony, stupid. Right? I go, no, they're not. Right? She goes, I can tell a mile away. So she calls like her friend over. What do you think of these? The guy goes, they're phony. So I go, oh, here they are. They're going to take my money. In Canada, I don't know what to do here in Canada. They take your money. And they can even charge you, but they're going to definitely take your money.
Right.
And she goes, get out of here and don't use that money again. I go, I swear to you, I didn't know. So from that day on, you know where I ended up, I got that money from? The guy who gave it to me got it from an ATM.
I believe it. I've gotten fake money from the bank.
So he went, I gave it to him. I went with him. I didn't believe him. I thought he was trying to screw me over. He went into the bank. He showed him the 500 and right away they gave him 500. They knew somebody scammed the machine. But that girl, and I still see her once in a while. She's retired, and I always tell her the story. And I would always just, if I'm at the track, but tipping with your cronies at the track. Well, going back when I used to do that, first of all, I've always hit more than the other guys, but I didn't mind that. There was always a guy in the group who never cashed the ticket ever. Right. It's not possible. He just didn't want you to know. He didn't want to tip and do all that, right?
You mean the guy that I know? I have a friend who hasn't won in like 30 years.
Yeah.
I can't win. You're telling me that that's not true? He's winning and not telling me?
Well, if you're in that group where, the guy wins, gives everybody a 20 or a 50 or 100, right? And that one guy, he never wins. It's impossible. Everybody hits sooner or later. He just don't want to cough it up, right?
No, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, no, I knew I could, I knew the guy was, someone would say he went and cashed. Yeah, he hit the other day, a nice one, but it's not only that one day. So I used to tip, right? Tip my friends. So one day, so I'm tipping and some guy comes, like just a mooch and whatever. He's breaking my, oh, way to go. Congratulations. Yeah, I go, oh, yeah, whatever. I go in my pocket. I just reach in my pocket and I had a $10 bill. I give him this $10 bill. It was my lucky $10 bill. It was a $10 bill that they bring out every once in a while, different from the other $10 bills.
Right.
Kind of, I always kept it. I thought it was I get home, I look, I go, I gave this, I don't want to swear, but I gave this friggin' idiot my lucky $10 bill and I went on a slump. So I start getting superstitious on that. And it's to the point where first rule is lending money at the track. I don't want to lend it. And I definitely don't want you to give it to me because I won't ask for it. So I just stop that, and I look at, if you're my friend and you're going bad, why should I make you get stuck even more at the track? But the tipping thing, it got to be such a superstition with me where it's happened in the last, where guys are demanding to give me a tip, right? Come on, you gave me that horse. I go, so what? I don't care. I don't want it. So when somebody forces money on it, I don't say nothing. I say, why don't you buy me dinner? You know, make a bet. No, here, take. And if I don't want to argue with them, especially while I'm gambling, I'll take that money and I'll go give it away somewhere. I'll donate it somewhere. And I'll tell you how superstitious I am. I had about 23,000 in an account in Kentucky, and I wanted to claim a horse down here. So I got out shook. I got out shook on a nice horse. I got out shook on another horse. Well, they ran good that day. I got out shook 3 times. The 4th time I want to shake, right? Trainer phones me, right? And he goes, "You still want the horse?" He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "The stewards said they want to void the horse, but we can still keep him." I said, "No, I don't want the horse." I donated that 23,000. I really started to believe this fucking money is jinx and I'm going to burn it anyway. I go, I'd rather give it away and get some good karma than lose it on a horse or something and be on tilt. I know it's crazy, right? It's crazy. And, you know, other scenarios are you sit at the track with somebody, right? And me and you sit at the track and we look at the day. I give you a 20-to-1 shot in the first race. You give me a 20-to-1 shot in the second race. Well, I use your horse and hit, right? You don't use my horse. You don't hit. Now I'm supposed to tip you?
No.
Huh? Right?
No,
There's a fair, and if it's not today, tomorrow I'll give you a horse. You know what I mean?
Right.
So people think they're entitled to this and that. But beyond superstition, I think it's silly. I understand back in the day, I was a kid, you know, you're kids and you're broke, you're hanging, you know, you're rugrats at the track. And when your buddy gives you $5 to keep you in action, it's big and all that. But I'm a grown man. I'm a gambler. You know what I mean? And another thing too, when you hit and you're the guy who tips, you see after a while, 82 people in the next hour come by to see how's it going? Everything good? But I am severely superstitious. I don't want your bad luck money, and I don't want you to get my good luck money. It drives me crazy, right? That having things, because I'm not really a superstitious guy, but that stuff from that $10 bill that day, that really threw me off.
Wow. Interesting, Hammer. You mentioned before replays. How important are replays to you? Do you watch them? Do you take notes? What's your, lack of a better term, replay regimen?
Well, watching replays, and whether you know everything or know important things, it's what you do with them when those horses come back and race. And I'll give you the quick do's and don'ts. So I know a lot of people who watch replays, and what they do, it's race day. They're looking at race 1. They go down the right side of the page, and if there's something noted, they get on their tablet and watch what was noted. Well, if I find something and it's noted, to me, I just lost my interest in that horse because I thought it's something I found. But if everybody sees it, what's the use? And a lot of those horses get overbet, especially if it's something drastic. Went to his knees, 5 wide, lost a photo. I don't need that horse. Sure, he might win and run big, but everyone else. So first of all, I'm looking for trouble that's not there. And even with that, the first thing I do before I look at trouble or the replays, I look at the race. So I already know this race, the pace scenario is going to set up for somebody on the lead. Looks like lone speed or not that much speed, or it looks like a ton of speed. So now when I go to my replays, if the horse I love is a stone closer and there's no speed in the race, I'm not going to bet him. So if you get into that habit of your horse got in trouble and you're going to bet him back automatically, you're going to fail severely. You're going to swear off replays. I've heard guys tell me, you got to know when to bet them, and I see guys out there who sell replay work and that, and they don't know how to read them. So, they're giving you War and Peace on all these horses. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sure, it's a shortcut. They're doing work for you, but you got to know when to play these horses. And I'll tell you one of my favorite, I'll give you my secret of my life. I love noting horses that come flying in the stretch. And not horses. If a horse is come flying in the stretch after, battling up front, I'll say he closed okay, will be my note. Now, if I see a horse that, was was closing pretty good without help, I'll note he closed good, right? And if I see a horse that, there was no pace at all, and this horse is really, really flying, he's not passing dead, and I'll put something like he closed large. Now, when those horses come back and race, I'm hoping they have 3-4 races where there's no pace. Because by that 5th race, they look like your classic hangers. And when they get that pace scenario, man, they usually don't miss, horses I have noted like that. And you can't find those notations anywhere. They're not in the, you very rarely see a horse, and on the other scale of things, a horse that battles and puts away a few horses and he's game. And now the closers are coming at him, and halfway down the stretch, he's fighting them. And then like in the last 100 yards, he gives up. He might come fourth, beating 6 lengths. I like noting those horses. I like, horse is trying his eyes out to the wire, even though he's fourth. You get those horses come out and there's no speed in the race. They run away and hide. And those are the kind of things I look at more than the trouble lines, because the trouble lines, a lot of these racetrack chart callers are pretty good. They get most of them.
There's a lot of talk on social media, and I know you're somewhat active on social media. A lot of talk about 2 things in the game that people seem to think are prevalent and affect the game every day. And I marvel that if they truly believe, some of the things that they write, why they play, but they do. But let's talk a little bit and get your take on riders playing games to the point of fixing races, not trying, pulling up early, allowing other riders to win. And from there, we'll talk a little bit about, trainers possibly cheating and getting involved and that kind of stuff. But what's your take on riders cheating, fixing races, people pointing out stuff every day? Hey, this don't look right to me. That don't look right to me. This guy pulled that horse. That guy did this. This guy did that. What's your view on all of that?
Well, I'll start with Naira, right? Some of the shit I see at Naira, I don't know if they're cheating, but it's just mind-boggling the way they race there. And, do I know they're cheating? No. Are they cheating? Maybe. But there's too much shit there that just boggles my mind, right? It boggles my mind. And you hear everyone say, well, they're great riders there. They don't want to get into speed battles. Hey, there's horses that need to be on the front, whether they're battling or not. Everyone's strangling and all that. And then down here at Gulfstream, I'll go back a few years ago during the A meet, it looked like the rest of the jockeys were just betting Luis Sayas. He was going to the front and see you later. And now the last A meet, it looked like the Ortiz brothers, call it what you want. It looked like shenanigans to me. And in the summer at Gulfstream, like the meet right now, it's like, who knows? Like, are these guys that bad? What are they doing? You know what I mean? It's like, and I know the guys on social media, they just over exaggerate. They're bringing up things that are silly, right? But they are things that question me. They are, and I'll go back to Naira. When I first started playing series, I was playing Naira, and I focused on jockeys who were cheating and trainers who were cheating. I swear to you, I made, I held my own just betting cheaters. They were cheaters in my mind.
Right. Which brings me to my next question. We know, Jorge Navarro, Jason Service were caught, both pled guilty. How much of that you think still goes on? Did that clean up the game at all? Did that slow it down for a while? Did it have any significant impact, or is it in reality business as usual?
I think put it this way. So if somebody who's a real good horseman and was doing things like that, he's not going to do them anymore because he can survive. But the guys who, if they were doing it and they have no other recourse to win in this game but to juice or whatever, they're still going to have to do it or get out of the game. It's just, I have no faith in the game until you tell me the head of security at Gulfstream Park caught somebody and threw him out for life. But when the FBI is catching them, and and it's not the tracks trying to catch them, I got no faith in this game. And what I really consider cheaters, and I'll go to those two guys, Navarro and Service. I could live with Service because he basically wanted to win 100% of the time. So as a handicapper, not as an owner, obviously, but as a handicapper, here's a trainer that he wants to win every time. So I know he's out there to win. Fine. Navarro didn't seem to run his operation like that. It was 2 weeks can't lose, 2 weeks can't win, and it's probably just he didn't want to be 40%. He wanted to keep after he got caught. I guess that's the logic to it. But there was no rhyme or reason to him. So I'm leading to now at Gulfstream Park. You see the top trainers. I'm talking about the year-round trainer. You'll see Safi Joseph win a ton of races. Jose D'Angelo win a ton of races. I'm trying to think a couple other guys, but it's these middle trainers there. They're not trying to win every time. Safi Joseph or Jose D'Angelo come third, they're dropping. These other guys, they come fifth, they move up, then they try the turf, and then they're playing games. I'm pretty sure they're just playing games to bet on these horses. So you got two guys who are good horsemen, and I know I'm missing a few other good horsemen. There's a lot of good horsemen there. Another one, Bobby DeBona. He wants to win. You could tell he wants to win every friggin' race. I don't know the guy personally, but they're out there. They're winning. They don't do good. They drop. There's so many guys with this going up and running here, running there, then coming back. And it's obvious. It looks to me like they're trying to set up a horse. Well, no wonder these other guys are going to bat 25%. They're trying to win every time. These other bananas are, there's one over there. I don't even mention. It's like the Apple Dumpling Gang. Tried to do so many stupid things and get caught anyway, and they end up, no matter, even if they fix a race and make 30,000, they'll lose it at Los Alamitos quarter horses at night. They're sick dog. It's a joke, man. Hanging around here year after year and get to hear some of the stories. The guys who are serious about winning, they win, and the guys who want to play games, all they're doing is abusing their owners, and really in the long run, they're going to go nowhere. If you want to be a gambler, be a gambler. But if you're a trainer who wants to gamble, I think you're on the road to ruin sooner or later.
I tend to agree with you. How do you view the state of the game right now? There's a lot of people that seem to think, the game can't survive long-term in the present condition that it's in. I know you read the Thoroughbred Idea Foundation stuff that they put out. They've got a pretty gloomy look on a lot of aspects of the sport right now. A lot of people seem concerned about the longevity of the game. It's over, 100 years old. It's been surviving. What's your take on where it is now and the future if we have one?
Well, right now it's a welfare state. I don't think there's too many racetracks out there that could survive without either slot money, sport money, government money. It's a welfare state. And I'll go to my home area of Toronto. Toronto was a place that survived. It survived anything but handle. And there wasn't even much simulcasting. So it survived. As soon as they got slots and they got that slot money, well, it didn't help nobody because all the prices of, if their slot money doubled their purse money, well, they raised the price of playing the game triple. And here you were surviving on your own, and now you get subsidies and you can barely survive. Where's this money going? It's being mismanaged. I'll give you another. I have to go on welfare. I go to the welfare office, and the guy at the office says, "Well, your check's not there. Where is it? I don't know. Somebody in the office took it." It's like it's horse racing is in a welfare state, and the people in it, horsemen and that need the welfare, they're not getting it. They're going by the wayside one by one every day. It's going to come. Kentucky's as safe as it can be because it is a horse racing state, period. And But all it takes anywhere else, it takes one politician to sign a piece of paper, really, get everyone by and say, hey, let's give this money to where it should be instead of racetracks. They're a business. If they can't survive on their own, tough shit. Out of here. And to me, if they took away money from any track to give it to education, social service, whatever, I would vote for it, even though I love horse racing. Why should the tracks get it? They're not doing nothing good with it.
I understand. I definitely do.
But look at what they have. They have a license to print money with their takeout, right? They basically, in each jurisdiction, they got very little competition. And if you can't make things go of that, you don't deserve to be in business. And the only logic to it, there's too much pilfering. There's too many hands going into the pot there that shouldn't be going into the pot. And that pot, those hands, they seem to grow every year. There's another hand, another hand, another hand. Who those hands, when they go in that pot, should actually get their hands cut off, not a piece of the cash.
Yeah, that's a fact. I don't think anybody can intelligently argue that racetrack management is extremely top heavy when it comes to salaries and things of that nature for the kind of.
I'm okay with the salary, John. I'm okay where some of this money seems to go left, right when it should be going straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I get you.
I don't want to get into it. But there's so many scams out there, and there are groups that people think that these groups are the saviors of this and that, but they're all scams to grab money, and that's all it is. One after the other, and it's more of a microcosm of life, I guess. But my life is in horse racing, and I can only speak on that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Betting on big days as opposed to during the week. You've always been one that has kind of not been a big day gravitator. You kind of go after whatever, whenever. Do you think there's any legitimacy to the argument that on the big days, at the big meets, when the better horses are running, the playing field, and I'm talking about shenanigans and cheating and things like that, the playing field might be more level than it is, say, Wednesday afternoon at Gulfstream Park?
Yeah, I guess so. But the main reason I hear people say they like to play the big days, they go, well, I can really bet big money now into those big pools, right? Well, and I always tell them, think about this. You're playing fairgrounds every day. And that's your track. And you can't bet the big money, like you say, because it's not a big day, right? Well, now it's Derby day. You're going to bet 10 times your normal bankroll on a track you don't play just because you can bet into those big pools. I see their argument, but why are you stepping it up on probably the toughest day to bet? And I'll be honest with you, if your problem is that you bet too much into these pools, that you eat at your own money, well, don't play into those pools. Play into Hong Kong, play offshore, do something. There's no other sicker feeling. Like, someone says, you ever just bet a horse, $10 on a horse for action? I go, no, I'll get sick if he wins. What do I want to do that for? Right. So if you're betting a track and you're betting lower than you really want to lower, you shouldn't be betting that track. But just gravitating, guys are going to bet more money on the Superfecta in the Kentucky Derby than they probably do in the whole week of betting the track they usually bet. Is insanity. It's the fan coming out.
You see people that don't even bet Superfectas all year long and just bet it on Derby day because, I might hit one for $100,000.
Yeah. And it's just the fan. It's all this fan and hoopla. And hey, listen, it's a great race. It's a great day of racing. I get all that. But if you're doing this seriously, you can't, you really want to take your biggest stab in a 20-horse bumper car race? Really? Really? I don't get it. Like, you know, how many years, you know, I'd say the odds of the favorite winning the Derby are harder than any other race.
Yeah, I mean, and
It's
they've
the
had
toughest
some
race.
success recently, but
In North
I
America,
agree.
yeah, in North America, there's not a tougher race, is there?
No, no, it's
No.
probably the most roughly run race and the most
Most
trip
horses,
slash
yeah,
pace
yeah.
dependent race that there is. Absolutely.
I've never done trip notes on a Derby race because I don't have a week to do one race.
Yeah, no, I hear there's you know, a ton of intangibles in that race that you don't have in many other races. So I totally get that.
Now I'll take it a step further to the Breeders' Cup. So you're in the Breeders' Cup turf now, right?
Okay.
And I love those races, but you got a horse coming from Japan, two from France, one from Ireland, and then 7 different tracks in the States. Really? That's where you're gonna, you know, that's what you're looking to unwind on?
Right.
You know, to me, there's got to be easier races to pick, and I know they're great races, and it's the fan. You know, it's the fan in people that wants to be part of that action that day. I understand it, but it's not right.
Do you think that that's one of the many reasons why so few people can be successful at this game? Because that fan aspect and just not taking the right shots.
Yeah, you know, it's in all of us to be a lifelong horse player, whether you're successful or not. At some point, you've had that sickness. You know what I mean? You've had that. You know, we're all degenerates at one point, and that's kind of in you. It's like being an addict. It's even though you haven't used, it's in there. It's in there. And I do it. If a friend of mine says, "Hey, you know, we're going to the track. We never go to the track, and there's nothing there. I usually bet. I'll go with a couple $100 and bet anything like a victim." We all got it in us. It's just trying to harness that. It's trying to harness that. And, you know, I always say to anyone, even if you're a recreational bettor, when you step into the track, just make it business for that 4 hours. You know what I mean? Focus, try to actually think you can win and do the right things to win.
I've been saying that for I agree. What is your take on all the, again, getting back to the social media stuff? A lot of ticket structure, critique, comments, people bashing other people, people bashing the analysts. There's that one guy inside the pylons who criticizes everybody's tickets but his own. What's your take on all of that, Em?
Well, you know what? Whether, you know, I agree with inside the pylons, you know, I agree with his comments, the way he comments, not really, you know, the way he goes about it, but that's him. He's who he is. But all
No,
of this
makes a lot of sense, a lot of things he
yeah,
says.
I just don't like the way he goes about it. And I've told him that. I'm good with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about. But, you know, when I stopped, when I'd see somebody I know put up a 50-cent ticket where they spend $400, even if they hit for 30,000, I go, nice result for a dope, you know? But I don't bother no more. But one thing for horse racing, any conversation on social media, whether it's to knock the jockeys or call this guy a cheater, no matter how petty and stupid the conversations are, it's still a conversation on horse racing. And look who's driving it. Not the trainers, not the jockey, not racetracks, us. The horse players are driving all this conversation. Whether, you know, the old saying, any publicity is good publicity. Well, look who's driving it. The guys who pay for the game and get nothing out of it really are the guys driving all these conversations. And I'll you know, I'll go out there and say there's people in this game that interact. You know, there's people on air personalities that interact. Not too many of them, they interact. There's a couple jockeys, they interact. And I know it's not easy because they're going to get bashed and that, but big deal, interact. Say, yeah, you know, you're a bum rider. Say, yeah, I'm a bum rider. I'll try harder. But I think they have to get out of their thin skin and interact. And it's all the horse players, it's all the degenerates interacting, giving publicity to this game, good or bad, it's still publicity. So we're driving, you know, social media is part of life, a big part of business and life. And look who's driving it. The people with the least stake in the game, you know what I mean, are driving this. So all of it is good. If a guy's a total nut bar that I even blocked and he's out there attacking everyone, he's a plus because he's there's a conversation, a stupid, ignorant one, but it's still it's talking about the game, it's talking about the track, it's talking about that, and tracks, jockeys, trainers, they hide from this. They should embrace it and engage with it.
Interesting. Now you like to bet very, and I know probably more than most about how you bet. You bet very aggressively. Okay, you're not afraid to lose, and you're not afraid to take a stand. You mentioned earlier that your key horse was 13-1. Can you talk a little bit about your style, your approach to betting, your philosophy that leads to some of the nice scores that you make, how you structure a wager to be in a position to do that, to do some damage?
So I think the first secret I got is I really limit how much I go by a week. So how much I can lose in a week. And so I make that it's a small amount. If I go bad, whatever, I'll pull up or maybe lose a couple hundred over the budget and take a shot. But that's one thing. When I lay out a bet, and I'm laying out a bet, whether I'm spending $50 or $500, there's got to be a score coming back. And I'm not talking about if I get the long shot in the all race, this will pay big. I'm talking about no matter what comes in, I'm going to make a nice paycheck.
Right.
And that's the only thing. And I'm willing, I know a lot of people aren't, and a lot, and this is where the contrarian is in me, is a lot of people cannot leave a 7-1 shot or 10-1 shot on the table without cashing something. The way I look at it, if I got 300 budgeted around this horse, I'm not going to spend a penny if it win, or I want to hit, if I hit that pick 4, I want to hit it to the extreme and I want to murder them. And I get confident enough through life that I know sooner or later I'm going to smash them. And so I just play that way and I leave money on the table, But I know when all the dots connect, I make up for all those days I left money on the table, plus. Now, it's hard to do. But I got bankroll. I've always made sure I had bankroll to sustain myself. So I'm not worried about going broke. Even if I did go broke, I knew I had backup way back in the day. And so once I got to learn to play like that, it became easy. The pressure is off. You go to the track. I go to the track sometimes. I have 2 or 3 good winners, and I lose. It doesn't bother me because I know when I connect, it's the test of time. There's no doubt in my mind I'm going to overcome it, and it's going to come my way in the long run.
I totally get it. It's very similar to my approach. Very few people do that. And I don't know that there's any statistic on this that's factual. I hear that there is. What do you think the percentage of people that actually beat the game is?
I don't know. That's the percent. I don't even know who plays anymore, who doesn't play. I don't think it's too many. And what's beating the game, right? If you're talking about, you bet 100,000 and you made 105,000, so you're up 5,000. Is that beating the game? Yeah, I guess
in my book it is technically, but
Yeah, so there's you can look at somebody as a positive ROI, right? Okay. And somebody who makes a living. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference.
Right.
And if you're doing well in horse racing and you have another income, that's one thing. But I don't know how many people are making a living without another living. That's the real test to say, to me, that's a winning horse player.
I did that for years and I don't do it now. And I don't think that I could now. It's a different game. It's evolved to the point where it's always been a difficult thing to do. I think it's more difficult now than it ever was. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, they take all these bets for a life-changing score actually eliminated the bets that you could make a life-changing score.
That's 100% correct. That's
Like how you know what it is
spot on, Hammer. Spot on.
Yeah. So what do you got to do right now to hit for 150 Gs at the track? You tell me. What do you got to hit for 150 Gs? You got to hit the pick 5 pool.
Right.
Good luck with 50-cent pick 5 hitting the pool, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you hit a pick 6. What's the average 20-cent pick 6 pay? Stubby.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? So.
I was on a show earlier today, and I had commented that I played a pick 6 twice a year. I play it on Kentucky Derby Day because of the pool, and it's a $2 bet or $1 bet, whatever it is, and on Breeders' Cup Day, and that's it, twice a year. I don't play that mandatory 20-cent payout nonsense. I don't even look at it. Don't even look at it.
Yeah, I like the Naira. I like the Naira has the dollar pick 6, but I don't like betting Naira.
They don't get any money in the pool though.
Yeah, but still, even on a carryover, whatever. I just don't like betting Naira, period. And Keeneland, I like Keeneland. It's one of my favorite tracks, but really, what do I got to go on to play a pick 6 at Keeneland, right? No. I really got to have.
What's your gripe with Naira?
I just see too many things on the racetrack that I can't comprehend.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. And
a lot of it seems to be, I don't know if it's just all these jockeys are told to strangle, but when you see Strangle Fest and Strangle Fest, I don't buy that. I don't buy any excuse for that.
Well, Naira's racing, especially their turf racing, has evolved to the point where everybody holds and nobody goes, and sometimes one horse goes, and a lot of times you think there's going to be pace and other horses should go, and they can go based on the fractions that you're seeing, if we can believe them, and they don't. That's become almost the norm there now.
And especially when for the last 2 days and already 2 races today, the track's like cement and everything's going wire to wire on the turf, and they're still not going. These are the best riders in the country. And nobody wants to try to get that edge and go.
So do you think, what's the end game? Are they deliberately doing that?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. All I know is, if it smells like shit and looks like shit, I ain't gonna fucking taste it. I believe it's shit.
It is a horrible feeling when you bet into a race that looks like it's got a lot of pace on paper, and that horses should be going, and you're betting a horse that's like supposed to come off the bed and nobody goes, and one horse is out there by 5 walking the dog, changing the whole complexion of the race. It is a frustrating feeling.
Yeah, and he's the 3rd fastest horse, and he's a 6-to-1 morning line, and he paid $540.
Right.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Right.
I'm not saying, I probably don't know. I'm probably wrong. I could be wrong, but if it gets in, I don't let clutter get in my mind, but when it gets in my mind, it's there, and I know I got to move on. It's like golf. This is the first year I really focused on Gulfstream. So when they got the synthetic in over last winter, in the summer, I was kind of looking at it, and I was kind of doing okay, and I was still going to play the Fairgrounds this year, but the Fairgrounds, the turf was a mess, so I stopped playing that. Fairgrounds is one of the few tracks where I enjoy playing the turf over the dirt or the synthetic. And so I go, let me try Gulfstream. And it started off pretty good. I didn't really get slaughtered, but it's just forget about it. And I put another thing, any track where those 2 brothers are, I don't want to be.
Really?
I don't want to be. Yeah. Well, first of all, Irad Ortiz gets horses over everyone, right? And the thing that, you find, and when you find a horse with a price, 8-to-1 morning line, you'd be lucky if you get 2-to-1. So he throws that mental warp in me. And then I see shit with him and his brother. Maybe it's my mind working, but when I start to see things like that, I don't think about them too hard. I just said, this is going to drive me crazy. I don't like it. I'm done with those 2.
So
in the winter in New York, you got 3 of them, right? I don't follow it that much, but you got Dylan Davis, Katie Davis, and her husband.
Right.
I think that's why the Ortizes left New York in the winter. It's like, fuck that. We have to get another cousin or something. I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit. I got no proof, and I'm not accusing anyone. But if I don't like it, it's in my mind. I believe it, and I try to stay away from it.
I hear you. So if racing somehow decided, you know what, we're going to make Hammer the commissioner. We're going to give you a free rein to make some immediate changes. Okay. What are some things that you would implement immediately that would help the sport the better and that you think are important to do?
Well, the obvious one is takeout, right? But I would get rid of rebates. And the only way you get a rebate, you walk into the track, and if you bet and lose, like they do in Hong Kong, they have it on certain like Win Place and I think Quinellas. You bet $100, you lose, you bring the ticket back, and they give you $10 to bet with. I just can't see for the life of me why the focus isn't on the betting dollar within your track. Because when I bet $1 inside of Gulfstream Park, they get all of it almost. You know what I mean? You know, now I know the other nuances of now with the lead and all that, but a racetrack should be, you want your fan to come to your track, spend money on sodas and beers and all that, and bet through your windows where you're making the top percentage of the money. And who gets the best rebates? Guys betting from 9 states away or 2 countries away. I would definitely get rid of rebates. Get rid of rebates, you probably solve 18 other problems. But you know, you're going to have to drive the takeout down for sure. But I think rebates are the stupidest thing that I don't know who got bribed to let this shit go on.
How do you get the handle up?
I mean the takeout down.
Okay.
The handle up. Listen. If you know, if my comment is right that everyone's feeding off those small bettors, give the small bettors the edge. You're just going to give it back. Let them play longer. Let them have fun. But when you get rid of when you have your smartest players playing with and biggest players playing with a 13% rebate, and you have the worst players playing with a 1% rebate. Now I know we're in a capitalistic society, but this is kind of different. Really, you just want to bury those people that walk in every day to your track. You know what I mean? You really want to bury them and give advantages to people who probably don't even need it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I understand the way the world works, but it's not right. And, you know, it's got to come to the point where how many people are left in this game? And I tell you another thing, I can see it just from Woodbine. People that I haven't seen at the track in 10, 15, 20 years, you know when's the only time I see them at Woodbine? When I walk into the slot areas or the casino areas.
Really?
I'll say, hey, Fernando, I haven't seen you work. He goes, I'm here every day. Where? He goes, I'm in the corner over there playing the Wheel of Fortune.
So we're losing horse players to slots.
Well, I'll give you an example of Woodbine, right? So Woodbine, you bet $100 and change, you might get a coffee. You get your like 0.7% rebate to the average Joe, and you might get a coffee in your points. But you go roll $10 in quarters in the slots for about an hour, and you get a breakfast. And these are people telling me that. These are guys telling me that. I go, what are you doing down there? He goes, what do they give me up here? Right? He goes, plus the washrooms are cleaner down there. You know, they come around and give you sodas and coffees and water, right?
Yeah.
To go upstairs, I got to pay $3 for a soda, coffee, or water. You know, like it's so obvious. You have competitors in your building, and they're getting treated a lot better. Well, where do you think these guys are going to go?
Yeah.
And especially if their roller coasters last longer than their $100 bankroll at the track. You know, you imagine that you're losing horse bettors to slot players, and that's all it is. You just cater to them better. And it is what it is. I don't think there's too many people, you know, that go to play the slots and then all of a sudden, hey, let's go up there and see what's up here. They might go up and watch, right? Most of the slot players, they come up to the second floor of Woodbine because they got a comp coupon that they can cash in at the racetrack concessions.
Anything else that you would do?
I don't know. You know, we talk about young people at the track, right? I don't really know if that's a thing, but until you put a nightclub like at Woodbine on the fourth floor, overlooking the track, I mean, a real nightclub, and you might get these people drunk enough to play, but we don't have a focus. The one thing every horse player that plays regularly can do is read the form in some way, shape, or form. And reading the form, and you hear everyone say they love doing the puzzle. We all love doing the puzzle. It's you know, and until we really focus on teaching people who come in, you know, we get people to come to the tracks. We have these promotions. They come in and they wine, they dine, they have a good time, and make. Until we teach them how to read the form, we will never have a lifelong customer. And the problem is, marketing departments everywhere, they can't read a form. They have no one who can teach the form. So it's not even into their plan. You know, their plan, I don't know what their plan is. You know, they get people to the track. They're good at spending money. I don't know how, you know, every time Woodbine spends money to get people to the track, it's on the radio. We're going to give out a free hat, the free vouchers. People come in droves. But what do we do to keep them there and to become horse bettors? Nothing, because they're not able to teach them, or they're not willing. They don't see it. And if, you know, the plan seems to be these. Gulfstream has the first betting app, I think it's called,
Right.
And we have one called the Dark Horse in Canada. So it basically, all it tells, you know, you fill in your data, and it's going to feed you what you like. So if you know, if you're a person with doesn't like to risk money and this and that, it's going to feed you the chalk. It's going to feed me a long shot. It's going to feed, you know, these artificial apps. All they do is burn money. It's not the way to go. So, you know, you're basically telling people, instead of picking a number out of a hat or picking a name, we got this computer that'll pick a number out of a hat or a name for you.
Right.
If we don't teach people how to read the form, we will never gain a customer.
I agree with that too. I agree with that 100%. And we don't do that. We don't promote this. We don't really promote it at all, but we definitely don't promote it and don't showcase it as a skill game that, you know, can be beat. Most people have the mindset that the game is rigged and you can't win anyway, and it's all fixed and it's all luck. And that's kind of the image that racing promotes and allows to be perceived by the public. No.
Yeah, you know what the problem is? They hired the greatest marketing guy in the country, right? But that greatest marketing guy, well, he worked for Chuck E. Cheese before the racetrack.
Right.
You know, we don't got racetrack people enough in this game.
You know, that's not very far from the truth. I think that Naira hired an executive guy was from Toys R Us or something like that.
Yeah. Woodbine, the same thing. Now, you know, Woodbine, we have I think the new guy taking over. Any horse racing knowledge he has, he's gotten in the last year. He ran the football team. He was a CEO of some company. But right down the ladder, right down the ladder, even with nepotism in racetracks and hiring family, we don't hire the right people. We don't hire the right people. There's always someone above them that comes from the private sector that knows F all about horse racing. And
yeah.
You know, they do have strengths, right? They do have strengths, but when you're the head of a department and you got to defer to somebody 4 levels down from you because he's a trainer's son and grew up in the game, well, there's a problem right there. Maybe the wrong guy's in charge.
Yeah, no, I agree. My last question for you, Hammer, and I thank you for taking this time to kind of chat. My last question for you is this: where do you see racing 10 years from now?
In Kentucky.
That's it?
I don't know. Sooner or later, it seems it's going to be headed that way.
In Kentucky.
Can you think of any other region that's real strong and powerful?
No, I can't.
Field size, purse size, betting size. They're corporate tigers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything, and they're in the right state. They got, you know, as far as today anyway, they seem to have, you know, politics behind them. Who else is not shaking in their boots? I can't think of anyone.
Well, I agree with that. I don't know that a lot of the management is really shaking in their boots because I think they've become complacent enough to think that, the golden goose will last forever and, we'll somehow survive. But I tend to lean much more towards your way of thinking and in that all good things do come to an end. So I think you're on the right track. If significant changes aren't made, the game might not be able to sustain itself. So yeah.
Track management. No, let me just finish. Track management. They're making good money, but they keep their head down. If they had an idea that was 99% going to be a great success, but 1% could knock them down a notch in the corporate ladder, they wouldn't put that idea forward. They just put their head down, they punch the clock, they don't make waves. There's so many changes that are needed and they know it and they won't do it. That's just, that's why I got no real faith.
I understand. There's not a lot you said that I could disagree with. So I get it. I definitely get it. Hammer, always a pleasure. Safe travels back up north. I know you're heading up north soon. So safe travels.
All right. Thanks, John. Pleasure doing your show as always.
Always, man, Hammer. You're always fun to talk to, and I always appreciate you coming on, my man.
My pleasure.
All right, ciao.
Nobody does it better.